They did it! The animation studio rebooted by Warner Bros. Finally paid off thanks to the success of the Lego Movie, an animated film that surpassed the achievements thanks to its innovative use of animation and creativity with Lego standards. This gave an opportunity and great start for Warner Bros. By entering to the animation competition again, by even making a potential franchise with the Lego universe since the Looney Tunes. But aside of making future Lego projects, they were also preparing themselves for other projects that it may not be involved in Legos or digital Legos per se, but in a fun way of cartoony CGI animation, starting Up in the Skies with Storks. The film follows Junior, a hotshot package delivering stork, and his partner Tulip, an orphaned human inventor when she was a baby, working together at the distribution center of an enormous online store, cornerstore.com, located high in the mountains. After a boy named Nate sends a letter to the company by wishing a sibling, the two accidentally create a female baby using the defunct baby factory that the Storks had formerly used in their original business of making and delivering babies. To protect the baby from the company's manager and ensure Junior's promotion to succeed him, the two set off on a journey to deliver the baby to the boy's family. When the studio was yet rebooting itself for the animation field in 2013 with some directors and writers to develop animated films on the Think Tank organization event, writer Nicholas Stoller was hired by the studio to create and write Storks. And since this is a guy who never had experience in animation before and only made R-rated projects, this will be a worthy shot to make his first animation activity as director. His idea of the story was primarily based on his own life experience when after being lucky of having her first daughter, and it was unexpected for him when he was about to have a second child, which it was a hard situation, and from a peculiar perspective he required a bit of science, and that experience made him appreciate more by being more present as a loving parent. But what he was more inspired for the complete idea was the topic of storks and their myth about how they once delivered babies and how that might impact a little boy who wants a little brother, making it a fun concept to explore plus hilarious possibilities of comedy, especially in the modern times. While crafting the idea and concept of the story, Pixar animator Doug Sweetland was involved in the film as a co-director. About the animation design and visuals, the goal for the art style was making the film in a more cartoony and colorful look reminiscent to the classic cartoons, particularly for the animal characters where they have more expressions with exaggerating comedy elements and actions than in the human characters. When it comes to other creative elements, aside of typical yet nice-looking suburban human residences and large scale of some natural environments, the crew also took liberty of making the look of the giant-scaled business packaging and the section of the baby-making machine for the modern times. Since this is technically the second animated film from Warner Animation Group, this is the first official animated film by Warner Bros. Animation of using just 100% CGI, since the Lego Movie had a different kind of style by giving a stop-motion film with simple plastic toy brick designs. With that said, and with the collaboration of Sony Pictures Imageworks, the animators crafted the characters' movements with a combination of smooth and cartoony with some squash and stretch. Plus, unlike the visual aspects of previous film, the artists gave some real-based elements like clothing, hair, and bird feathers, including the realistic textures needed for everything else. For the character voices, many actors like Andy Samberg, Katie Crown, Kelsey Grammer, known as the villainous voice of Sideshow Bob and Sticking Pete, provided the voices of the main characters, with the latter as the voice of business head stork Hunter. Additionally, several celebrity names were involved as the supporting roles, including the duo performances of Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele as the Wolfpack leads Alpha and Beta, the Gardner parents provided by Ty Burrell and Jennifer Aniston, who previously worked as another mother character with Annie Hughes in The Iron Giant, and neutral assistant character Pigeon Toadie's voice was provided by Stephen Kramer Glickman. Originally, the film was planned to be released on February 10, 2017, but Warner Bros. Had to reset it due to another animated project for that time, and it was changed for a sooner release on September 23, 2016. Speaking of release, the film was accompanied by an animated short film based on the Lego Ninjago toy line named The Master, which follows the martial arts master named Wu and an annoying chicken with repetitive yet playful situations on the animation logo. So after premiering at the Fox Theater on September 17th and finally being released in theaters a few days later on September 23rd, The film did gain some positive reception, with critics praising the animation, voice acting, and most of the humor, but with some criticism towards its script. As for the box office, the film managed to gain $72.7 million domestically and a total of $182.4 million worldwide against a $70 million budget. Not great, but still enough to be a decent hit. As for awards, there wasn't much to mention, but it received an Annie Award nomination for Best Voice Acting with Crown's performance as Tulip, ultimately losing to an interesting tie-winning event of two films, Zootopia and Moana. Later on its home media, the film would include an exclusive 2-minute short film set after the events of the story titled Storks' Guide to Your New Baby, aka Pigeon Toadie's Guide to Babies, which is a baby care guide parody starring Pigeon Toadie as the video host. The film may not have been a masterpiece, but it has shown how the myth of storks delivering cute babies can be established creatively in modern times, plus a fresh start of soaring in the sky for the sake and topic of family entertainment. A year later, another project will be released, and like I said before regarding Storks, this is the main reason why it was changed to another date. With that said, this is when the small DC character from previous LEGO film returns for its spin-off adventure, and technically the first Batman animated film since Mask of the Phantasm, literally titled as the LEGO Batman Movie. In this comedic universe, LEGO Batman aka Bruce Wayne is feeling quite lonely yet scared of having more company or even a family of his own besides of his servant Alfred, but at the same time, changes at Gotham City are starting to happen. Especially when Barbara Gordon has taken her father's position as commissioner while discovering that he has accidentally adopted a teen orphan who wishes to become his sidekick, Robin. After hurting the Joker's feelings in his latest battle and gets sent to the Phantom Zone, Batman soon finds out that it was the Joker's plan to get sent there and get all the villains in there out. So it is up to Batman and his friends to stop the Joker's plan of getting more evil allies through dimensional chaos. After the massive success of the first LEGO movie, Warner Bros. Animation was so motivated that they greenlit several LEGO projects in development, and this movie was one of them. Plus the fact that later, LEGO Movie co-directing animator Chris McKay was attached as director, making technically this his first solo directing debut, while creative directing duo Lord and Miller would be involved as co-producers. In other words, he stated that his experience in doing this film was very mixed blessing, owing mostly to the film's hectic time schedule for its production, remarking that the 2.5 years allocated to the film made it difficult to fit in everything that he wanted for the film, considering his earlier experience with the LEGO Movie. The work and idea for the movie were influenced by the humor portrayed in both comedic film series The Naked Gun and Airplane, with his pitch for the film to the studios being described as like Jerry Maguire directed by Michael Mann. Plus the fact that his proposal to combine all the Batman eras featured in the comic book series and various media formats, including movies, animated series, and comic series, despite a couple of issues, the total inconsistency inherent to such a task and LEGO rejecting some of the characters he proposed to include in the movie, was based on his desire of how to portray Robin within the film's setting. As part of its production, the movie was designed to make numerous pop culture references to previous Batman films and comics. Pity that there was one exception for the film Mask of the Phantasm, despite that it is technically part of the TV animated series media.
I've seen you go through similar phases in 2016 and 2012 and 2008 and 2005 and 1997 and 1995 and 1992 and 1989 and that weird one in 1966.
In an interview regarding his version of the superhero duo, McKay stated, "I was thinking that we were basically taking the World War Robin and sticking him in the Batmobile with the Zack Snyder Ben Affleck Batman or the Frank Miller Batman, and putting these two different energies together. Somebody who's like the grumpiest, dark greediest, broadiest Batman with the most positive, indefatigable kid." Speaking of actors, Will Arnett reprised his LEGO Batman role, while other several characters included in this LEGO film, like the Joker, Robin, Batgirl, and Alfred, were voiced by Zach Galifianakis, Michael Cera, Rosario Dawson, and Ralph Fiennes. Speaking of characters, like last time, There are several DC characters appearing in the movie, particularly the Batman villains, partly based on the different DC interpretations, like Harley Quinn, Penguin, Bane, Scarecrow, Catwoman, and several antagonists, including the Two-Face, who the latter is voiced by Billy D. Williams, and he interestingly portrayed Harvey Dent's original identity in the 1989 Batman film. On a side note, other special appearances that were included in the Phantom Zone were several villains and obstacles from other popular films like The Wicked Witch of the West, King Kong, Sauron, and Lord Voldemort. For the film's visuals, besides basing the film's setting with the LEGO Batman toy line, the crews had numerous character explorations for their looks and clothing on a LEGO Batman adaptation, especially for the Joker before the official constructed version would fit the film's aesthetic. On a side note, the artists used the same animation techniques from previous film with the help of animal logic like the solid toy designs, stop-motion looking CGI with some fluent movements, plus smooth cinematography, replacement animation to digital 2D framing like lip sync, and the visual break effects. Plus the fact that there have been new creative elements for effects and settings suitable for the Gotham City atmosphere and action scenes, especially the addition of different constructed Batman vehicles. In other words, unlike the first film, this was all 100% animated with no live-action scenes included for the storyline. For the soundtrack, the score was composed by Lord Balfe and featuring Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer Chad Smith, plus including a variety of renowned songs as part of montages or even jokes. But at the same time, there have been a few original songs created for the film's comedic style, but not necessarily as musical numbers, yet random musical moments for the sake of combined jokes and references, including a new rapping remix Batman song at the beginning and another one that can serve as a ringtone.
I'm Batman, Ing.
I'm Batman, I'm awesome, I got a 9-pack, I'm awesome. I'm Batman, I'm awesome, I got a 9-pack, I'm awesome. I'm Batman.
Hello? Mr. Baba? Before the film's release, a video game based on the film was released on January 1st, 2017 for Android and iOS, along with several toy merchandises. When it hit theaters on February 10, 2017, similar to the first movie, the film was a great success, with reviews saying that the film continues its blockbuster franchise's winning streak with another round of dazzling funny and beautifully animated family-friendly mayhem. Plus the fact that it was ranked as the 14th best superhero movie of all time on the site. At the box office, the film grossed around $175.8 million domestically and with a worldwide total of $312 million against a production budget of $80 million, making once again for Warner Bros. A box office hit, despite not the same numbers of the previous film. On its digital home media before Blu-ray DVD release, the film would include 4 new animated LEGO Batman short films titled Dark Horser, Batman is Just Not That Into You, Cooking with Alfred, and movie sound effects. How do they do that? The home media released was a great success as well that debuted at number 3 on the MPD Videoscan overall disc sales chart. For awards, it gathered a lot of nominations but winning just a few random awards. It was nominated for a Critics' Choice Award for Best Animated Film and 3 Annie Awards including Best Editing, Best Director, and Best Voice Acting for Zack's performance as the Joker, losing all of them to Pixar's Coco. Sometime later, on December 5th, 2018, McKay announced that a sequel to the film was in the works, with himself returning to direct once again. But recently that would be quite uncertain, you will know what I mean. Anyways, regarding the spin-off Impact, Indeed had the chance to show other awesomeness portrayed by one of the main LEGO characters with the fun element of DC LEGO media. A few months later, and of course, LEGO Batman wouldn't be the only spin-off released in 2017, but this time with another kind of heroes with ninja skills plus not necessarily related to the LEGO movie, and that is the LEGO Ninjago movie. Set in the brick-constructed land of Ninjago City, a battle threatens the residents by the evil warlord Garmadon, and this calls to action on a high school student who wanders beyond his family's origin named Lloyd, aka the Master Builder Green Ninja, along with his friends who are all secret ninja warriors, led by Master Wu, a wisecracking plus wise martial art master builder they must defeat Garmadon, aka the worst guy ever, who also happens to be Lloyd's dad, and stop his tech army from destroying the island. But after being defeated by the villain's giant cat Meowthra, the group sets on a journey to find the ultimate weapon to defeat him, capturing unexpectedly Gamatron as their prisoner, in which Jake will finally face his relationship with his father along the way. When it comes to things I previously mentioned, this film was related to the animated short The Master, which probably was an experiment of how the film would look like, plus even events before the official storyline. Before releasing the first LEGO film, this technically started when on September 17, 2013, Warner Bros. Announced that an animated Ninjago movie based on the LEGO toy line LEGO Ninjago was developing. The Hageman brothers, who wrote the Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu show and co-wrote the story of the LEGO movie, were recruited to write the adaptation, while Charlie Bean was announced as the director and the LEGO movie team, Dan Lin, Roy Lee, and the duo Lord and Miller as producers. Plus the fact that animators Paul Fisher and Bob Logan were attached as co-directors. On the other hand, despite the collaboration of additional writers and producers, it has been implied that the production was a complete chaos while rewriting the script. When it comes to the production values and visual style, it was pretty much the same thing when it comes to the goal of a large-scale city and Lego bricks, but in this case with Japanese-looking environment inspired by the Asian Oriental town markets in American cities like New York and LA, with Chinatown and of course elements from Japan, including a sense of fun and modern architecture. Plus the fact that besides basic character design construction, their clothing aspect was probably the most explored to fit on the final product, including the ninja aspect and the bad guys' different aesthetics, especially the dragons. In other words, several recognizable actors were brought to the production, including Dave Franco as Lloyd, along with Michael Pena, Kumail Nanjiani, Abby Jacobson, Zach Woods, and Fred Armisen provided the rest of the Ninja Warriors voices. As for the antagonist Lord Garmadon, he was performed by Justin Theroux, and the character Master Wu was voiced by none other than Jackie Chan, who the latter also plays the veteran shopkeeper Mr. Liu in the live-action sequences. Speaking of which, even though the animation was crafted by the same studio of previous LEGO films with the same use of effects and stop-motion looking CGI animation, but this time with ninja elements probably influenced by action-packed movies, like the first film, this one did include some live-action scenes that were even added at the beginning as part of the storyline, plus the fact that other visual elements implemented on the feature were some real nature environments and visual effects, even adding a real-life cat as giant monster effect for the city. The film also included in the soundtrack some original songs with musical moments and renowned songs for the sake of humor and references like they did with the LEGO Batman movie. Plus the fact that in this case, Mark Mothersbaugh returned to compose a LEGO film after the first LEGO film, with Master Wu's flute music played by Greg Patillo. For the marketing campaigns, over 20 LEGO sets inspired by the scenes of the movie were released, including a set of collectible minifigures. A movie-based video game for Windows PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One was released on September 2017, with some new features such as multiplayer and new action techniques. Originally, the movie was planned to have an IMAX release, as evident in trailers from the 5th installments of Transformers and Pirates of the Caribbean franchises, and even promoted on Facebook, but it was cancelled and only received non-IMAX presentations. Again, like last time, for the most part and most of the WB LEGO marketing topics, the film premiered at the Fox Regency Village Theatre on September 16, 2017, and when finally got released in theaters nationwide along a day prior for Denmark on September 21st and 22nd officially, it unfortunately didn't quite achieve the same reception. At the box office with around 4,000 theaters, Ninjago accumulated $5.8 million on its first day, but then weekend projections were lowered to $21 million. It ended up debuting to $21.2 million, finishing 3rd place at the box office, and in the end, the film grossed about $59.3 million domestically and managed to gross modestly over $123.1 million against a $70 million budget, ranking as the lowest opening by over 50% and the lowest grossing animated movie of the LEGO franchise in general. The main reason for its underperformed results was apparently due to competition with other films released at the same time like Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which was the one that eventually took the film's place for the IMAX release. As for the reviews, it was generally mixed. Critics did praise the visuals, humor, and voice casting, but they mostly felt that the story and other elements were not as strong as previous films, with many commenting that despite the ample charm and a few solid gags, the movie suggests this franchise formula isn't clicking like it used to. At least for Andrew Barker from Variety, did enjoy the new LEGO film with optimism by calling it plenty entertaining and occasionally very funny. Ninjago nonetheless displays symptoms of diminishing returns, and LEGO might want to shuffle its pieces a bit before building yet another film with this same model. As for awards, however, there wasn't much to mention, but a few random award nominations than what got LEGO Batman, including 4 nominations at the Visual Effects Society Awards for Outstanding Environment Creation, Visual Effects, and 2 for the Best Character Animation category, losing generally all 4 nominees to Pixar's Coco. At this point, the LEGO Ninjago film is the starting point of concern when it comes to possibly decline its quality. As for the film itself, although not as popular as the others, it managed to gain its audience who enjoy the LEGO franchise as a cult LEGO movie following, and has done its job presenting more creative LEGO universes on their own. But despite the latest disappointment, the artists still tried to redeem themselves for both Warner Bros. And the associated LEGO company with a hopeful comeback next time with a return of the main beloved heroes. And you will know exactly soon what I am talking about after the last topics of the next video.
Cool. Very cool.